being hydrated, like you had told me before, was it keeps you flexible. And you were saying, like, look at Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Tom Brady doesn't have to worry about getting hurt. You know why? He's rubber band man.
Rubber band man.
He gets out there, so he has someone stretch him every single day.
Yep.
Day after day, year after year. His nutrition.
6 days a week, you'd say?
Yes, absolutely, if not 7. But I know at least 6 days a week, he's got somebody stretching him every single day.
Wow.
Someone's watching his nutrition. He's a very disciplined individual from what I know about him or read about him. But yeah, people ask me all the time, Tom Brady, well, he doesn't have to worry about getting hurt because he's a rubber band man. Yeah. If you stretch and you're elastic and you can move, then you don't have to worry about getting injured. Most injuries can be prevented, especially on the field. And most of that has to do with just the athlete pushing themselves too far, not stretching. And stretches are like thank yous to muscles for doing a good job. Muscles are like friends.
I like that.
If your friends wake up every day and they work for you and you don't tell them thank you,
they're out.
They're probably not going to help you very long. They're probably going to retaliate. Right. So be good to yourself and thank your muscles. They work for you every day. Least you can do is feed them good stuff.
Wow.
Stretch them and give them enough water. Do that for your plants.
What a message.
Do that for your muscles.
Can you imagine, like, just telling that to your children? Like, that would stick with me, like, my whole life. You know, it's going to now. Like,
right.
Like these are like thank you for your muscles.
Yeah. I mean, the average person doesn't stretch their entire life, but their muscles work for them.
And you see it, like
day.
people are tight. You can tell, like, they're walking around and they're
crooked.
They're unaligned. They're tight. You know, and it's because you're not stretching.
Yeah, now you know what I do every time I go out to the mall. Where I'm obsessed with every time I see somebody. Oh, look at that! That's a hip injury. That's a knee injury.
Yes.
But you can see that because I just study people. The kinesiopathology, the study of the motion and movement of the human body.
What is that?
Kinesiology is the study of the motion of the body. Kinesiopathology is pathologies created by abnormal motion of the body. Mm-hmm. And most of that, listen, if you hydrate it, if you eat well and you move well, you will always live well. But, we think that living well means we have to have a fancy car, fancy house, and eat out all the time at fancy restaurants. It really has to do with you got to treat your body well. Give it the rest it needs.
Valuing yourself.
Right. You only get one body, You got one temple, take care of it.
Yeah.
You don't, it's not going to be. Listen, pain is not something that naturally comes along with life, and I'm just getting older. Most people just say, I'm in pain. I'm just getting older. It must be normal for me just to be in pain. But living in pain every day, that's not normal. I mean, I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
I'm not a young guy.
Yeah.
But I'm not an old guy.
Yeah.
But I do everyday stretch. I do everyday hydrate.
Yeah.
Some of that's personal, professional survival, so I can keep doing what I do for a living.
Yeah, because it takes some strength to do some of the stuff you do. Like,
physically very demanding.
I mean, my hip was so bad that he literally had to put, like, his feet were like off the ground.
Right.
Like
all
pushing.
175
Remember that?
pounds of me on
Yeah.
that.
I was like, he's like in the air, like, because my hip was so tight.
Whatever it takes to get the leverage I need to make.
But he was also one of the ones that told me to go get that checked out, and I had to have hip surgery.
Oh, yeah.
That same year.
I mean, listen, conservative care can only take you so far. There are going to be instances.
I had a deformity. I had like a hip deformity or something like that.
Yeah, there was that's actually an osteoarthritic condition. It was a progressive osteoarthritic condition where your hip joint molded into the socket. So your ball and joint was molding into itself, limiting the motion. So yeah, that was a replacement all the way down.
For sure.
Absolutely. We tried to do what we could to see if we could save that or keep you from surgery as long as we did. And when definitively wasn't going to have any greater outcome than we were already having, it was time to send you to surgery.
But that also that stretch that you taught me as well is really good. What's it?
Iliotibial band stretch.
There it is.
IT band stretch.
IT band stretch.
How would someone know if they have that issue? There's like, what symptom would they feel if?
So pain in the hip does not always mean you have a bad hip and you need a hip replacement, regardless of what your age is. Hip injuries, generally, believe it or not, are not hip injuries. They're muscle injuries. The iliotibial band is probably singularly responsible for more knee and hip injuries than any other muscle in the body. It goes from the knee up to the hip, but the way it attaches to the knee, it attaches medially, so the IT band can actually, if it gets too tight, externally rotate the knee, and that's how, coincidentally, most medial meniscus tears happen in the knee. So if we would just stretch the IT band on a regular, we'd probably not see as many torn medial meniscus as we do now.
Wow.
And the IT band is where? Is the front of your,
it's
or
like
the
seam
side
of
of your
pants.
side of your?
It's on the side. It goes from your knee like the seam of your pants up to the hip bone, so to
bone?
speak, the glute
Okay.
medius. Yep. But making it one stretch, that one iliotibial band stretch would probably preserve, I would say, half and if not more of the injuries to the medial meniscus. Obviously, trauma is a big one. Sports injury, medial meniscus tear. Your body goes one way, the foot's been planted, and your body's rotating opposite the knee. But the IT bands, if they're stretched enough, I mean, look at Tom Brady, the way he plants and he puts that ball off there in 2 seconds or less.
Yeah.
He has to plant that foot and he's twisting. If
It's a
he
lot of
wasn't
torque.
elastic and that IT band wasn't absolutely stretched every time, he would absolutely by now in his career have suffered more than one knee injury. And that's part of what we do at Gateway Wellness Rehab. Our job is to look at these athletes. We have a lot of them. We look at these patients, and some of them are athletes, and some are just cops, and I got a lot of paramedics and firefighters.
Yeah.
You don't believe how rough it is in the human body to get in and out of those trucks repeatedly
imagine.
all night long. And then, not everyone, but there's a lot of people out there now that weigh more than the average weight should be. And you're talking about 300
America's
pounds
obese.
plus. You're out there picking these patients up off the floor in odd positions, trying to get them on a gurney. There's power assisted gurneys down, things like that obviously save a lot of what we used to encounter. But for the most part, emergency personnel, it's rough what they do. How about police officers? TPD police officers come in and they go, how much weight do you have around your belt? Dragging your hips down.
Yeah, right.
Ooh.
How about
And sitting in that car for how many hours, right?
Not normal. Not normal for the human body. Firefighters. You know those firemen's hats? And I get you want to stick to traditional firefighting hats and stuff like that, but they're heavy. They add lights. They add all kinds of ancillary and auxiliary gear to their helmet, and they put it on their head. So I'm starting to see a lot of herniated disc injuries and stuff like that just from emergency personnel wearing firefighter gear for exceptionally long period of time. Cops wearing gear for exceptionally long period of time.
So if you can take that gear off, take it off at any.
I'm working with some of the departments or some of these patients, trying to get some of these departments to go to more of the tactical vest rather than the belt gear.
For sure.
The tactical vest allows them to put everything on something that's on their chest, it broadens their shoulders, so you can spread that weight over a
that would
wider
be great.
surface area, and they don't have that around their waist. It also is easier when you're sitting in your cruiser and you're trying to get around town.
Well, also, this goes back to where your mind is as well, I believe, is like if you're focused on money, and you're working all these crazy hours, you're not having the time to value and take care of your body. Like, wake up every day, stretch, work out. You get away from that.
You do, and the hardest thing to do is make anything a habit, right? But they say if you do anything for 28 days consecutively, that it becomes habit.
Yep.
So for me, everybody says, "Well, when do you stretch? How often do you stretch?" And I always tell them, "Is I don't have a meal. I pick something I'm never going to miss. I'm never going to miss a meal. So if I don't ever miss a meal, it's easy. I'm just going to choose not to have a meal or allow myself to have a meal until I do my stretches. That gives me 3 opportunities minimum per day. Unless
So
it's
you
snacking.
stretch sometimes 3 times a day, or
So I stretch a lot more, especially if I'm working. I'm there seeing patients every day, Monday through Friday from 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
It's my first patient at noon. And then I'm back 2 p.m. in the afternoon to 6 on certain days. But, they're long days. I could pull 14, 15 hours in a single day
wow.
with just an hour and a half lunch maybe. So I stretch. I'm showing patients to stretch all day long.
How long is your stretching at each time that you stretch? Like,
It's always 1 minute on each side, especially when stretching upper and lower extremities.
Okay.
But holding a stretch for 1 minute is probably the minimum you should be holding it for in order for that muscle to actually relax. And there's always going to be a less elastic side and a more elastic side. Humans are always more elastic on the side of hand dominance versus not. So I always say, stretch the one that's tighter first, or stretch the one that's more elastic first, so you know that the side that's less elastic, how far it has to go to catch up to be even. So you kind of got a goal you can work towards. But
wow.
Stretching, I stretch all day. The biggest thing for a chiropractor, it takes us out of the game, is either shoulder injury or low back injury. So I'm very cognizant to do my pec minor stretches, very cognizant to do my piriformis stretch, iliotibial band stretch, iliopsoas stretch. The iliopsoas muscle alone, if most people would just, and I'm on YouTube, I've got videos out there on YouTube you can look up and you can see these stretches. I believe they're on Facebook, our Facebook page.
And they would just type in Dr. Rob on YouTube, or how would
I
you
think
find?
if you put in Gateway Wellness and
Gateway.
Rehab or Dr. Rob, I think you come to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a complete explanation, including anatomical charts where I actually show you where the muscle attaches, where it originates, how it functions, and so if you can see it and you can see where the muscle is, and I can tell
Gives
you
you a
what it
better
does,
idea.
and it's real easy for a patient to be more compliant. And I'm trying to get you to do a stretch, so I do it, then I have you do it in the office, and I show you there's a benefit to the stretch. If I show you there's a benefit to the stretch, which usually is pain relief, better function, you're more apt to do it. And then if I hold you accountable for it, and I test you periodically when I see you for your appointments on those stretches, it becomes second nature. And if it does, you'd be surprised how many times my patients will be out somewhere and they've actually helped somebody just by giving them a stretch that they know to do for what they know to do it for. And they become the ambassadors, the health ambassadors that pay it forward from our clinic, even beyond what I can interact with and who I can reach.
So they're
And
passing on the wealth.
Yes,
True.
exactly.
Sharing the wealth. Yeah. And that pain relief goes with, I believe this is your mission statement, right? It says your primary goal is to be your first choice as a wellness partner from injury through functional rehabilitation so that you can enjoy a life pain-free on your own terms instead of adjusting your life to work around your pain.
Right.
Is that y'all's mission statement?
That is our mission statement. And everybody adapts their lifestyle to how they feel in the moment instead of creating an opportunity for change in their own life and getting everybody's got a New Year's resolution, right? Going to lose weight.
Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're
every
trying
year.
to lose weight. I want everybody in America to quit trying to lose weight.
Ooh.
Your goal is to not lose weight. The goal is
Love
to
it.
just get healthy. Who cares what you look like in a bathing suit? I don't really care what you look like in a bathing suit.
But we're so physical, like in America, like we're so like vision, like everything's about like
Or
what's out
vanity.
here,
It's vain.
vanity.
It's vanity, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain look that's popular at the time.
Oh, we got to get
Everyone
away
wants
from
to
that.
possess that look because it may improve their status in their group that they're in or whatever. But it's just ridiculous. It's much like high school.
But it's like,
all over
how do
again,
you
right?
feel is more important.
Yeah, I'd
And-
rather take somebody that I'd rather deal with someone whose health is such an importance to them that they're willing to put in the time to hydrate. They're conscious about doing their stretches, but they're also not the people that are going to make excuses for why. I mean, they'll come in and flat out tell me, "I know you're going to hate me, but I haven't do my stretches as much as you want me to. But I'm gonna make.
I haven't been doing my IT band stretch,
I'm gonna
dog.
get better at it. I swear.
Yeah.
But the next time I see you, Doc, I'm gonna
That's
have it
what's
checked.
up.
From now until next week, I'm gonna make sure that I do my stretches for you. Not for me, it's for you. You live a
Right.
better
Yeah.
life because you want to, but you got to put in the work. It's easy
Yeah.
to be lazy, and as you get older, you have to put more effort into stretching. More
You got to
effort
fight
into-
fire with fire.
Yeah.
Because you're in pain, but you have to actually be in pain to get better.
Right.
You know, like to
So
some degree.
most people. So interesting enough, you say that because as people get older and they get further away from what we consider to be midline health.
Mhm.
They get to a point where it's so difficult and so painful to come back to where they need to. It's easier to make the choice not to. It's easier to go to pain management. It's easier to rub something on it. But again, you don't have to live with pain. Living with pain is optional, not mandatory, unless you have a pre-existing congenital pathology or trauma or injury that at no fault of your own that you've sustained that changes normal function. But for the most part, your function is completely up to you. Your health is completely up to you. Not it's the doctor's fault he didn't see this early. Every pathology we know pretty much is an opportunistic environment. You did it to yourself by giving that pathology.
Good old blame
opportunity.
game. The
Yeah.
good old blame
It's
game.
easy to say my doctor should have seen that coming.
Oh yeah, let's blame somebody else.
How many patients actually tell the truth to their doctor 100% of the time? They don't.
Wow,
All patients
that's a
lie.
great point. Wow.
And
Wow.
your job is to find out why they're lying. They're
Oh.
lying because they're embarrassed. Well, if they're embarrassed to tell me about their social habits, and they're not exactly proud to tell me about their sexual interactions and things like that, but I've got to figure out what's wrong with them. It makes it difficult.
It makes it
sometimes.
so hard for you
But if
guys.
they're afraid to tell me, then they probably are already questioning that behavior in their life, and they already know that they need to make a change. They're just looking for me to be the
So
be the
a
one
lot of
to
times-
smack them dead in the face and say, "Listen, this is the reality of where you're at.
Right.
You have to make a change if you want me to be the gatekeeper and hold your hand through the process. I will.
Wow,
You
you
don't
will
have to have
Look
me
at
to
that.
do it, but I will.
But that's great that you say that, because like a lot of doctors probably don't feel that way. They're like, I'm not going to hold your hand. Here, do this.
Well, I'm fortunate enough that I'm in the wellness business.
Yeah,
I'm not in
got
the
you.
disease
Different.
business.
True.
Right,
So
Got
a
you.
lot of doctors, they're in the disease business where they have to
Yeah.
actually treat patients that
Yeah,
are suffering from pathologies already that are going to need medically
Gotcha.
managed.
that makes sense.
I think more doctors out there wished almost
That they were
had
doing what
gone
you-
into more of a wellness type
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
And you'll see in that little by little, slowly in the concierge medicine group, the concierge doctors are trying to, that niche, they're trying to be everything they can be to a small group of people for a particular flat price. No insurance, no nothing, beck and call. You can call that. By the way, my patients, every patient I've ever seen since I've been licensed has my personal cell phone number. It's never changed. I'm available 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah, he's given me rides home before when I couldn't drive from the brain injury. Like he took me home. Like I was like, man, relationship.
I was going home for lunch.
Yeah, like thanks, doc.
Just up the road, why not, right?
Yeah.
But in health, it's your responsibility. It's not mine as your doctor. I'm willing to help you get where you need to go, but I think we have to use a little bit of common sense, and we have to pay
our
more attention to
responsibility.
ourselves, and rather than what other people think, why don't we just worry about how we feel? And if we concentrate on our own health a little more, then we might be living more fulfilled lives. We might make different decisions.
Ooh, there it is.
If you don't have good health, you might make
bad
some poor decisions.
Make worse decisions.
Well, I'm already screwed up. Let me just, it's gone to hell in a handbasket. I might as well just keep
You
going
lose
down
hope.
that road. Sure.
You lose hope, when you're making bad decisions. And really what I'm hearing too is everything you're saying goes back to a person's character. So like if your character, if you're lying, and hiding things, you can't get the right help.
Right.
You're
You're not being honest with yourself.
You're not being honest with yourself. So it's like you got to be truthful and upfront, and that goes back to character.
As a patient, don't ignore signs,
Yeah.
and don't think that I'll just rub some dirt in it. It's just age. I'm just getting older.
We're a
There's
sweep it under the
many,
rug
many
type,
excuses.
type society.
Yep.
Let me mask it.
Or they just
drink.
pop pills.
Pop
They're like,
pills.
pain
Pills are
meds.
easy, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
quick fix.
Or
Yeah.
the
Hey, doc,
Bengay.
can I get a pill?
It's a Band-Aid though, but people are treating it as a permanent fix.
Yeah, it's like, so I liken it to check engine light. Check engine light comes on in your car. You got one of three decisions actually. Actually, yeah, you can always do nothing. So that's always got in life. Anytime you have a decision-making process, nothing is always an option.
Oh,
You can always choose to do nothing, and sometimes, believe it or not, choosing nothing might be the right decision in certain circumstances.
Oh
but
wow.
you can always
Never
choose
thought
to do
about it like
nothing,
that.
or you can choose to go get it checked out and find out why the check engine light's on. Or last decision is you can always put a piece of electric tape over that check engine sign.
And
And
ignore
out of
it.
sight, out of mind. I no longer see it. And I like in the last example that most people in their health, we'll just put something over it. The dog pees on the carpet. Let's just put a new rug over where
Oh,
he pee.
boy.
Rather than clean up the pee, let's just put something
great.
over it. And that's what we do in our life too with our health. Same thing. We
Oh,
just put in some just put that. I can't drink enough water because I can't exercise.
oh,
because
man, it's like you're already eliminating what you can do
Right.
by saying you can't.
fast food. Listen.
Oh boy.
Fast food's there for a certain reason. I'm not sure why, other than you don't have time to consider what that food might do to your body.
Ooh.
But fast food for the most part is not. Fast food is never really going to be your good food.
Hold on. Quick question though.
Yeah.
What about Chick-fil-A?
So listen, I love Chick-fil-A, but even Chick-fil-A,
Still fried chicken.
But it's real chicken.
it is, so there are better fast foods than others. Let's put it that way. Taco Bell's definitely not going to be in the top 10 healthiest.
I would say probably Chick-fil-A is one of the better fast foods, right?
So Boston Market.
Oh, Boston Market's good.
Pollo
yeah.
Tropical.
Or
There,
Chipotle.
yeah, Chipotle. There's some out there that are better than others
True.
because you actually have whole foods, vegetables, meat, stuff like that. I kind of try to live by the notion that if it wasn't once alive, you probably shouldn't eat it.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I was gonna bring that
So,
up too. I'm glad you
fruits,
said
vegetables, and meats. If you put crap in, computers when they first came out, that garbage in, garbage out was the big thing we learned, right? You can only get out of it what you put into it. So you are what you eat. You become what you eat eventually. Your little third grade science teacher that told you are what you eat was the smartest thing she ever said to you. And so I live by the a blood-based diet. So I eat for my blood type. So there are certain foods and things that are toxic to you based on your blood type. And if you want to, it's a commercial, but not for me. I don't own this app. There's actually Eat Right for your blood type. It's an app.
Eat Right.
It's $3.99. It was developed by a team of scientists that studied the relationships and interactions between certain types of food and how those food particles and or contents broke down enzymatically and how they were related to red blood cells, white blood cells, and how they reacted. So some foods have a toxic reaction for certain blood types. Like, for instance, O. I'm a type O. Type O blood doesn't matter positive or negative. We possess a certain enzyme in our stomach that allows us to break down animal fat with relative ease. So I can eat steak.
Isn't that one of the most unique types of blood types?
It's actually the most common. So
really? Okay.
O negative is the rarest, okay?
O negative.
But
okay.
O positive, more people are O blood type now than they were 30, 40 years ago.
Okay.
So there has been some evolutionary
They've
changes in
adapted
blood
to
type.
meat, maybe.
Well, I think it does. It probably has to do with an evolutionary change as far as us becoming more carnivores. Because O diet is definitely a more carnivore type diet. So let's say, so as for me, the O diet, dairy. So the only things that aren't toxic or harmful to me in the O category in dairy will be mozzarella, pecorino cheese, feta, regular whole butter, and white chicken eggs. There's a few more in that category, but that's basically the highlights. Everything else in the dairy category is toxic to my blood. So if I eat it, some of the things I may notice is bloating,
Inflammation.
gas, inflammation in my GI tract. I'm constipated. My skin doesn't look good. I've got acne. I've got greasy skin. So if you put in foods that are toxic to your blood type, you're gonna create an environment. Full circle, coming back to opportunistic environment. Most pathologies require an opportunistic environment or a certain type of opportunity in order to thrive. If you create that environment, they will. So try not to eat things that are toxic to your blood type.
So know your blood type.
Know your blood type. And if you don't know your blood type, you can donate blood. And if you donate blood, you can find out what your blood type is.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I bought the book so I could eat according to my blood type. But I was like, but I don't know my blood type. And when I asked my doctor, they're like, well, we don't know. I was like, well, then how am I supposed to know? So I bought the little kit on Amazon to poke my finger and that didn't work for me. So I'm just like, I still don't know my blood type. So you're like, donate blood instead.
There are some online kits that you can do that if used properly, you can find out your blood type is. But again, the easiest thing and pay it forward. Go donate blood if you can. If you can't, then you can go to like an Any Labs or something and get them to type your blood without a prescription. Otherwise, you can ask your family doctor.
Okay.
They'll write a prescription for them to type your blood. But
yeah,
for the most part, if you know what your blood type is, then it's a $3.99 app. They've got book series out there on Eat Right for Blood Type. You can Google O blood type and each category. The app that I use, Eat Right for Your Blood Type, it breaks down every single category: meats, beans, legumes, dairy, seafood, and it's easy. Whatever's in the green is beneficial. Whatever's in the yellow is neutral, and whatever's in red, stay away from. It'll have consequences.
Gotcha.
What about this? I took an inflammation test when I moved to Florida 2 years ago because I was having arthritic pain in my left foot and in my right hand, and I couldn't lose weight no matter how much I exercise or whatever. So anyway, I did a test, and they found that sugar, of course, eggs, and barley flour, which is in most breads and cereals and all of that, those were like my three major culprits that caused me inflammation. So my question is inflammation the same as like your blood type? Like those specific things don't work for my blood type possibly?
So inflammation is an end result of eating something that didn't interact positively with your body or your blood. So if you eat something that, and it doesn't have to, listen, the reason why a certain diet doesn't work for everybody is because everybody has different blood types. And because if you just eat for your blood type, you find that if I eat O blood type diet and I'm O, there's benefit. If I'm an O type blood and I start eating an A diet, I'm going to have reactions that I wouldn't normally have. So if you know your blood type, you can limit the amount of inflammation is a direct response of a toxic reaction.
Okay.
Anything in your GI system, they have gut health, brain health. Gut health is simple. It's what you absorb. For instance, most people don't know this, but B12 is one of the major contributors to most brain chemistry and the production of most brain chemistry. So your B vitamins, 6, 9, 12. B12 comes from meat and dairy. it has to actually survive the roller coaster through the stomach, through the small intestine before it can get reabsorbed way down here by the appendix and actually used by the body. It gets reuptake and actually produces chemicals in your brain like serotonin and things like that. So if you want good brain chemistry, you have to absorb good vitamins in your gut. Well, if you've been eating stuff that's been inflammatory to your gut, you ever seen the pipes in an old home? Got the sludge all around the pipes. Yeah, so picture that sludge in your gut and in your small and large
It's hard
intestine.
for things to operate.
You don't absorb across that membrane. If you eat crap, you will cause an inflammatory reaction in your GI tract that will not allow you to absorb the vitamins from good food, even if you do take them in.
Wow.
So it's not just about like for instance, I love this when people say, I went on a diet. Well, what do you eat? I always say, give me a 7-day food log, write down for 7 days of everything you're eating. And so they do so, and I see they're eating lots of fruit. Let me tell you, fruit is God's candy. It's high fructose, the same as any Jolly Rancher out there. So fruit is, although it's healthier than a lot of things, it is still God's candy. It's sugar. So if you're going to eat fruit at night, you're just putting sugar in your body at night, and then you're wondering why your body can't process it. It stores it as fat, and then you obviously gain weight. So everything has consequences if we just think about it just a little bit. But when we're in nutrition and dieting, I don't want anybody in America to diet. I just want you to eat right for your blood type and make good decisions. If you hydrate well and you eat right for your blood type and you get some amount of exercise, that includes both weight resistant or weight resistant training. I'm not saying you have to go to the gym and lift weights. It just has to be weight bearing exercise in general, and some type of get your heart rate up. If your heart's not used to pumping at a higher rate, it's not going to learn to do it very effectively when you need to. It's a muscle. You got to exercise it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I have a problem. That's my drawback. I stand there all day long and I throw patients around and adjust them, and it's a very physical medicine. It's very physical, but I don't get my heart rate up very often. I don't get to get it pumping. So my deal is I need more cardio in my life, and that's what I've been trying to engage in, is a little more cardio.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.